Alrighty, so we are live. It's great to be back here for another construction technology webinar event today. And I'm very excited to have Rob with GoForms and Richard with Alert to speak with us about digitization and a little bit more about how that affects our construction processes. So without further ado, I'll turn it over. First, let's do Rob and then Richard for some introductions. So Rob, tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and what you're doing at GoForms.
Happy to, Aaron. Thank you for the opportunity today. So, hi, everyone. I'm Rob Brewster. I'm the CEO of GoForms. I joined GoForms in 2016. I actually came in to run sales. I was not the founder of the company. After about 6 months, I took over customer success, and after about a year and a half, I was appointed CEO. Prior to GoForms, I ran sales at Twilio. Prior to Twilio, I was at Eloqua for 5 years, running business development. And prior to that, I was at Salesforce for 3 years, running alliances for the Americas. So I've been at some bigger places and not necessarily construction. I sold to marketing and sales for most of my career. But here at GoForms, we've really resonated with construction. It's been our number one vertical, and really excited to be here and tell that story along with Richard. Thank
Yeah,
you.
we're number one. Cool. Awesome. Thanks, Rob. And turning it over to Richard, let us know a little bit about yourself, your background, and what you're up to up to these days. My gosh, need some more coffee myself here.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for the invitation. I'm glad to be here. Richard Mitchell. I have been in the construction industry since '98, I believe it is, when I got out of the military. Uh, Worked oil and gas all up and down the Gulf Coast, California, all over the country, some overseas, been on the pipeline. I was exposed to GoForms out on the pipeline, I think back in 2017, I think is when I first was exposed to it. 18, somewhere right in there. Prior to being at Alert, I'm the quality director for Alert. Prior to being here, I was a QC manager for Turner Construction Company, which I also use GoForms, and really started getting into GoForms and understanding the powerhouse that it really was. Uh, Coming to Alert as a quality director, obviously I was able in the position to make those decisions, and I've turned it on full blast, and it's really very powerful software in the industry, the construction industry itself. And I don't know if y'all realize that there's a lot of big market out there for these digital conversions across the spectrum. Uh, One unique thing about GoForms, I'll give you a little tidbit. What's so special about it is that it doesn't matter what process you're using, GoForms has an answer for it. All the other software systems out there are singular by craft. So we'll get into that a little bit further, but that's
Yeah.
the main reason to support GoForms is because the versatility of the software. Uh, it's not limited.
And I think it was as you were saying, you were, working in quality. Someone gave a thumbs up in the chat, so I saw that go out. So thank you, whoever gave that thumbs up. I do want to give the audience a reminder. So that chat is active. We do see what comes through it. So please do ask any questions or leave any comments or thoughts. We will be able to answer them live, or bring up your comment live. So we'd love to see and hear from you. So please do use that comment or chat box. Alrighty. So opening up today's discussion, I want to talk about, what I would say is a typical experience, maybe unfortunately, in the construction industry. So thinking back to my, first days as a project engineer intern, going onto the job site, you're usually, as that newbie, you're given like a stack of paper, like, hey, organize the paper, make sure people get their paper in. Usually it's something like daily logs or forms or, safety forms, whatever it is that you need to track down. It's a small nightmare, or at least, in my experience, it was. And it's very different, being able to have a digitized version of that. So I want to maybe first start with Richard. So what are some of the benefits of just digitization in general? So switching from, that paper based form processes to something that's, electronic, that's in our computer systems.
Well, there's actually multiple benefits to using a digital system. The biggest, foremost in my world, from a quality perspective, I've I've got multiple quality teams out there using this system and using what we put together. Uh, the consistency in the data flow, the consistency in the data coming in, with GoForms, you're able to control the errors. And let's face it, we're human beings. We're going to make mistakes. That's what we do, and that's how we learn. So that's what we do with this GoForm system. It allows you to limit and almost eliminate all those errors, all those mistakes, all those data entry. Uh, when you translate data from one person to the next, you've got interpretations, you've got understandings, you got somebody thinks this word means this, yada yada yada. The whole gambit. And as you go through a large job with, say, 500, 1,000, 2,000 people on it, well, you've got 2,000 different versions of what that word means in the same location, all trying to get to the same goal. So
Mm-hmm.
GoForms helps you minimize that risk or that issue that you have. That's apparent on every job. The other benefit to it is when you're using GoForms is the revision control. Immediately you can get to the project team in the field the latest revision of whatever you're messing with. So the issues of getting to the end of a job and closing out something or trying to get sign offs, and wait a minute, you've got revision from February.
Yeah.
That's gone. That is gone. That's
Yeah.
eliminated. And that's a huge cost savings for any team trying to navigate a job when they don't have a revision control problem. Because with GoForms, you control the revisions. You put out what you want them to have, and they refresh, and it is what it is. They don't have access to the other systems or the other
Right.
versions.
Right.
Another really big benefit is the real time uplink. If you have the right version of GoForms, obviously there's different levels of it. If you have the one that I like, the one that I use, you have real time updates up to the second. I can look at what the guys are doing in the field anywhere in the country,
Real time data.
but and see what they're working on. You got real time data uplink to the managers that are looking at this stuff, and
Yeah.
forecast the next day and get their schedules in line and all that good business.
I wanted.
Everybody has a piece to play of the project,
Yep.
and they all need that data immediately. They
Yeah.
can't wait.
Yeah.
A 24-hour lag, yes, we've learned how to work through that in the industry. That 24-hour lag is a killer. It really is. It can make or break a job really quick.
As you started talking about data, I got so excited. I'm like, yes, this is like such a huge point because um, not just the 24-hour lag, but just like being able to understand what's happening in general, like on the job site, what's going on. So I want to say maybe the traditional way was, word of mouth, telephone. Maybe you have to go walk out to the job site yourself and literally go look at every little thing, which is kind of impossible to do for any one person, right? So that access to that real-time data at your fingertips is super powerful and lets us make like more informed decisions, I would say, and preventative. So the
Well,
24-hour lag kind of makes us be
think,
reactionary, but the real time data gets us to be
think
more
about the
proactive.
genius. Think about the genius behind the system. When you take this system, a digital system like GoForms, and you have two or three different avenues. You got skills, you got crafts on the job. You got your operations team, you got your QC team, and you got your closeout teams, or your zero team, like I call them. Well, all of them are operating in their own world, doing their own tasks, and uploading information as they're doing their tasks. Well, then you overlay those, or clash detect in the industry, you call it clash detecting. You overlay those paths with different color codes, and then you
Hmm.
can see what the true production on the project is up to the minute by overlaying all those different crafts from this digital feed that you're receiving from GoForms. Does that make sense? Now, there's a whole lot
Yeah.
more on the back end, obviously, you have to do, but you get the idea. GoForms gives you that capability.
Yeah.
That everybody else is possible.
100%. On that note, I want to maybe continue the discussion with Rob here. So, we opened up with digital transformation. We're going from paper to something digital. What does it mean to you as an executive or kind of being in that executive role?
Sure. I mean, GoForms being a software company, not a construction company, it's a little
Yeah,
different. But we
right.
have a mantra internally of be easy to do business with. It really is something
Mm,
we care about. And hopefully, Richard, you've seen this, but it's the idea that when someone interacts with you, that we make the process just easy, right, and enjoyable. And quite frankly, that's impossible if you don't have a successful digital transformation, because not understanding what your customer needs, not having a process that flows properly, not having the insights into what your customer is asking for in real time makes you difficult to do business with by definition. So, we have certainly gone through a digital transformation, not only using our own tools, but our own, technologies internally and how we communicate. But I think it's essential if you actually care about the customer experience. And I think that easily translates to construction and all the things that Richard's been talking about.
Yeah, that sparked a memory. So usually when this topic of ease of use comes up, it seems to not really like. I love technology solutions, but sometimes they just don't get what's really needed or meant by easy to work with, ease of
Yeah.
use, easy partnership. And I think for a lot of us who are in the fields every day, a minute is so precious. We just don't have time to waste or spend extra, whatever it is, figuring something out. So I usually say, like, yeah, if your guys can't figure out the solution in like 3 clicks or taps or whatever it is or less, like they're going to struggle somehow because there just isn't any time to, really uh, experiment with the tool, right? You just want it to be smooth, to work, to have good support as well. So that was really refreshing to hear. Love to hear that. So thanks for sharing that, Rob. We're also getting some good comments in the chat, so thank you guys. Lance, fantastic session. Christopher, glad to have made it for this. Thanks for hosting an important conversation like this for the industry. So thank you guys. And then also for our other audience members who are just joining in, I see we got a couple more recently. Do feel free to use that comment or chat box to share any thoughts or questions with us. So being easy to work with, I mentioned ease of use in the field. I want to turn to Richard and maybe ask a little bit about your field team's reaction to getting a new tool. So a lot of times it's a little bit of a struggle to roll out something new. People will sometimes say like, I don't have time to learn this, or, what is the point? What was the reaction of, the boots on the ground team members to starting to adopt a digital tool here?
Actually, the in the quality world, QCs they're kind of like foremen and such, so they're a little more
Mm-hmm.
further advanced employees. Those have been very easy to hand them an iPad, get them set up. About 3 minutes, they're out the door doing their thing, following
Very
their
nice.
path. They know their job. They know what forms they're looking for. They have some historical knowledge that helps them. The biggest benefit I've seen with GoForms, and I've started using it a lot more with my internal foremans and managers and stuff like that, that are the older class that they still use flip phones, that type of group.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I did this at Turner, but prior to coming here is where I experimented with it. And what I did is I built a QR booklet it's an actual printed booklet that I gave to all the foremans and the managers and stuff. Where they're out there running the field, they have a little booklet with tabs. Whatever form they're looking for, they would go to that tab, scan the QR code, use a public form, loads it in the system. That
Wow.
has been that has been the easiest transition for the guys that don't know how to do it, can't navigate because I did go through the 3-click system and learn and struggle with that a little
Mm-hmm.
bit within GoForms because you're able to set up all these different folders, all these different classifications. You got all
Powerful
these
tool.
options,
Yeah.
and they were kind of
Powerful.
overwhelming at first for me when I first started messing with it. And it took a while to slow down, look at it, and start using it properly and start getting back to the 3-click method. Um, but the QR books for the team members that do not know how to use a computer or just kind of have
Right.
information with it, the QR booklets, I had 10 or 12 of them at Turner. I've got a booklet now, 4 or 5 with Alert. And those booklets make it so easy because it doesn't matter what device you pick up. Scan that QR code, the document's there, fill in the spots. And with the parameters on the page, you can step them from spot to spot to spot as they put
Mhm.
stuff in there and highlight it red. Say, hey, fill in here, and it just keeps bouncing around the page. And you can literally walk them through
Yeah.
like a newbie on
Yep.
every page.
Yep.
It makes it so easy. It makes it so easy.
Yeah, it's amazing. I've seen so many different solutions, and a lot of times, simple is best. So, hey, here's your booklet. Go ahead, scan, and get on with, whatever you need to get done for the day. I was thinking, like, dang it, why didn't I think of that?
The trick to that is
Yeah, that's
you
amazing.
got to use what they're familiar with. Everyone knows
Exactly,
how to use a cell
exactly.
phone. Everybody
Yeah,
knows how to use one of those. I mean,
Yeah.
I think we're born now knowing how to use one of those. Honestly, I
At
know my
this
little
point,
one
yeah.
really well. So get
Yeah.
it into something they're used to using. They don't have that reservation. Not so concerned with it. It makes their life so much easier, less stressful, and we get the data we need. I mean, that's really what it is.
Yeah, that story really paints a picture of just meeting the field teams, wherever they're at in terms of their tech adoption or their skills, right? So, I've seen I always say, like, yeah, it's a spectrum. There's a big range out there. You might have someone who's an absolute expert in almost literally everything you can think of in a specific, like, construction topic, but maybe they're not so great at the tech. But you might have somebody coming in who's like really good at whiz at all of these solutions, but maybe they don't know so much about the industry. So yeah, there's a really big spectrum out there, and I think finding ways to bring the tech, good solutions to those who will really benefit from it. That's amazing. So I love that story. Thanks for sharing that. All right. Yeah, I'm energized. This is inspiring. So let's see. For Rob, what impact can your solutions have on general contractors or any sort of construction organization? So we've heard some perspective from Richard, but want to hear yours as well from the tech provider
Yeah.
side.
No, happy to share that. I think a lot of it is back to what Richard was saying. That clearly resonates with the GC, but I think the real value they gain is being able to manage projects without having to go on site. Right? It's managing your subcontractors. It's managing the project on a daily basis. It's managing compliance, risk, safety. All that rolling up into one. Having insight of what's happening at every project in real time, I think, is the real value. But back to what Richard was saying around the change management and the adoption, one of the reasons why it is so easy is we have 6 patents. This is a real differentiator for us. 6 patents on the ability to use your form. So if a GC is working with a workforce that's been using a safety report for the last 25 years and they're used to it, we actually take that form. That becomes the digital form.
Hmm.
So now when you take away the clipboard and the piece of paper and you hand them the iPad, when they open it up, the first thing they see is their form. Only now it's all grown up with drop downs and calculations and pictures and coordinates and all the things that make their life easier. So we are a great solution for a GC because the frontline worker is going to have a great experience. And then the second they hit complete on that form, and this works offline and online, is all that data is coming back to the field office or the back
Mm-hmm.
office, and they're able to gain insight into what's happening in real time, and not only make adjustments as necessary, but be compliant, manage safety. So it's a solution that really, we didn't build it this way. We just kind of lucked into it. People find us through our inbound funnel. They'll literally Google like a mobile inspection form, safety form, and they'll find us and they'll realize how easy it is to get started. And then what Richard's learned along the time is, yeah, it's easy to get started, but then it can take you to the next level with the reporting and the analytics and all the other things that you're gaining from the insight that's happening out there.
And I want to expand maybe a little bit and go in a slightly, maybe, yeah, no, same direction, but related, with the analytics and the data again. So with where we're at in general, just with the industry and the overall world with technology, we've
Mhm.
obviously been going through this artificial intelligence boom, I would say,
Sure.
that's been impacting a lot of things. And what I've seen is a lot of organizations are wanting to get into the benefits of AI, but they're quickly realizing, like, oh, shoot, I don't actually have the data to be able to leverage these new tools. So that data capture and being able to do that in a digital format, like, you're never going to be able to do it really with a piece of paper, right?
Right.
So, like, being able to get that data capture is empowering things like analytics, and then and opening up doors to historical trends and understanding again kind of how to prevent, maybe it's you notice over time, like, hey, we've had this trend of people reporting in the same thing over and over and over again, and you can prevent that. Um, so all of that being said, like, it's also, it's setting a good foundation for completing processes, but it's also an accelerator for enabling other tech adoption. So it's kind of a double benefit there in a
Without a doubt.
sense. Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Something else on that note,
Yeah.
just to elaborate on what you're saying there. Something I've done here, I've created here in Austin with all of my GoForms accounts that I'm working with. One of the things I've done is that historical data will tell me historically with facts. It's data. It's all pure data. So analytically thinking, it brings all that data in, then I can automate estimates
Mm.
once I have that data in, and I can automate those estimates off of true number manpower of how much productivity each human being gets within the system, because everything's tracked in the system. So you
Wow.
can sit there and push a couple of buttons, or I've got a form, I put it in there, and it can tell me my best and my worst and best case scenarios to allow me to push out an estimate. I mean, we did a $300 million estimate 2 weeks ago, and it took, obviously with this system, it took us approximately about 4 hours to put that estimate together.
Yeah.
And it
Wow.
it
That's
gave
pretty
us a
good.
delta, plus minus delta,
Yeah.
and told me exactly what my parameters were, best case, worst case scenario. And then, of course, you have to make your own decisions in the end and what's best for the company. You can move stuff around, but you see it on how powerful the software is
Yeah.
with the back end support, like Mr. Rob was saying. The sky's the limit, and then if you introduce AI to this, it can go historically look at all this information
Hmm.
within your company, and it can make those decisions in lightning speed. And we get hung up thinking that a human has to make these choices. A human doesn't have to make it. The data's there. Once you build your timeline, the data's there.
Hmm.
Human needs to decide on the varying factors, the various that need to be played into that AI is not going to see. That's where we
Yeah.
come in as humans to make approval and disapprovals and such like that. But for
Right.
run of the mill stuff, regular estimates, you can do them in like 10 seconds. You put the stuff in the form, boom. The estimate's done, it's off to the sender, it's off to the vendor,
Yeah.
or the
Yeah.
contractor, or whatever the case may be.
And I mean, kudos to you guys and Alert for kind of figuring out how to use it really smartly, it sounds like. So,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I love what you said. The sky's the limit. So it's really up to us and like how we use the tool, and we can get a lot of benefits if we're really digging into
100%.
what we have access to. I also want to call out a couple comments that came in. So Martin says, Iceman, great insight. I think that was maybe as you were speaking, Richard. And then we have a comment from Serena. This would have been great. This would have been a great asset on the last project I was on with the U.S. Navy in Hawaii. So, yeah, maybe there's some interest there.
I do
Uh,
want everybody to understand one thing, like Rob hit on it earlier. Didn't mean to cut you off.
oh, go for it.
GoForms, the GoForms platform, the user interface that GoForm has created, it doesn't matter what form you're using. It doesn't matter what output you want. Whatever spreadsheet, SAP, Viewpoint, whatever you call your little output, however you view your data at your company. All GoForms needs, all we need is the PDF you're using to capture your data in the field and whatever output you want. Everything in the middle is automated.
Hmm.
No more human interaction. All that can be automated, and I've done it here at Larry. I've done it for multiple companies. It's all automated, which takes that manpower you have been using and you repurpose them to something more beneficial. That heads right down the line of Lean Six Sigma. I've got my green and black belt. Driving out waste, because all those repetitive tasks are waste, and it
Yes.
kills your efficiency and kills your profits.
Yes.
Just we understand what we're talking about, because that's what it does.
Yeah, I had sat in a session, probably at a conference, and one of the presenters had shared that they ran a study of AI or a technology solution doing a task and compared it to a human doing the task, and then also compared it to the human doing the task with AI or the tech solution. And it's the human plus the technology that has the best outcome because the tech is taking care of all the busy work that we really shouldn't be doing. And then the human's able to, we're able to focus what makes us special and actually, make those higher executive thinking decisions and that sort of thing. So yeah, it's exciting. So we actually do have one question that's come in. I'll throw it up here. So from Nicholas, is data store per project or by all projects that use the software? Also, is there an API to access the data? And I'll leave that up for a second. Feel free, Richard or Rob, to just jump in
I'll
here.
start from the GoForms perspective and let
Yeah.
Richard share it, specifically for them. But the answer is yes and yes. We do store all the data per project, per every time you submit a form, we are storing that data. So remember, a form essentially is a database table. You take those pieces of that form and you put it in that table, and we do that for you automatically. There is also an API, and the API is open. So anything that you want to connect to that has an API, we can absolutely do that. To Richard's point, the output is what you want it to be. And then we have some out of the box integrations with things like Procore, Acumatica, Salesforce, SQL, whatever you want to connect to. So we've got some jump starts for you with integrations, and we have an open API.
Very nice.
Richard, I don't know if you want to share any of your stories related to that.
Yeah. Anything you want to add?
Yeah. As far as the project per project, I store it both ways. I store per project and I store by all projects. Currently at Alert, we have 96 jobs nationwide that we're running, and all of them run through GoForms. They have individual databases and large databases within the system. I store outside of GoForms in a SQL database personally all information. It goes all the well. I have one well table for all the wells in the company. Period. And then within GoForms, they're broke down by job. And the reason I do that is because I've learned over time that I can assign individuals to certain jobs, and it makes their upload download a little bit quicker because we do try to be economical and we use iPads that are Wi-Fi only, that type of stuff, because we don't want to have a bunch of accounts out there with cell phones and all that business. But that's our preference. So in order to get around that, I use offline a lot, and I have data sources that are set up to be offline, and they're by job. So whenever this user logs in, he's already assigned to a certain set of data sources. It goes out and it syncs those specific data sources in small bits to make him faster. Now you can do the whole thing. I've just found out that the lag is a little more noticeable. It's not bad, but it's noticeable. So I, I just did a internal workaround to
All right.
to run it like that.
Good to know. And then we also have, I think, a follow-up question, which may have disappeared, but I can see it on the side here maybe. So from Serena, can this be integrated with programs like GitHub?
Yeah,
It has one, doesn't it? It has an automatic connection, doesn't it, Rob?
with GitHub, we don't have it set up as an automatic connection, but through the open API, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
Good to know. Yeah, a lot of things are possible with that open API, for sure. All right. So let's talk about, for Richard, like the quality control role or quality assurance role. So how has, having access to this data changed what you're doing day to day as a quality manager or, working in quality and focusing on that?
Well, when I came here, I'll just give you a little story. When I first came to this company 4 years ago, I think it was, to Alert. At any rate, they had an issue with their code. We have code stamps, so we had an issue with our code repairs. Code repairs, when you're working on a vessel, there's certain procedures and requirements you have to follow. We had an issue with work starting prior to having the AI say yes, go ahead and move forward. And everybody understands this industry, understands that AI has to sign off before you even strike mark, or whatever. Well, it was 2 or 3 days trying to get that from the AI. Using GoForms, implementing GoForms, and building the system the way I built it, I now have AI signatures and approvals to move forward in 5 minutes. So I went from a 2 to 3, 4 day wait to get this information to 5 minutes now. So no matter where you're at in the country, I can have the AI authorized inspector approvals and moving forward with permissions and ITPs signed and ready to go in 5 minutes. It also automated the process. I've got plates being made in one state. I've got QCs at another location, and all this is handling automatically through the system. So within a day, they have their plates show up, all automated. The AIs within 5 minutes, they're out there working, doing what they want to do. So then the really only restriction we have now is material, if they need to buy it or not. That's out of my control. I can't control that. So it took a 3-4 day process and put it into 5 minutes. Another thing that I've done with this system is another big issue in our world from quality perspectives. We have turnover packages. Whenever you do something, you capture all the data, you put it in a little book, kind of like this.
Little book, a big book. Oh man, yeah, some thick binders.
Right, and the idea of that book is you want to capture everything that happened on that particular task or activity
Right.
including all the emails, the change orders, whatever pertained to it,
Right.
all in one little singular location. With this system and the guys using the pads out in the field using GoForms, that book, as soon as they do a job completion form and put a signature, they're required to put an email, whoever signed it. And within
Hmm.
5 minutes, they have that book in their email waiting on them. That is humongous because you can ask like Mr. Martin, I know that guy from way back. You can ask, and QCs would stay on a job 2, 3, 4 months after a job, depending on how big it was,
Yeah. Yeah.
just doing them books and getting
Yes.
them over to the client.
Yes.
Do that here.
Um,
You walk away when they signed it. We don't have to worry about it. In 5 minutes, they got the email. We're done.
Gosh, not quite QC for me, but I think I was one of the last project engineers doing closeout on a job, and
It's painful.
it's lonely, it's painful, chasing down all that paper, making these binders and binders and binders. Yeah, it sounds like your role and probably many others' roles were transformed by being able to gain some time back in their
Another
day.
aspect of that is
Yeah,
this, Aaron. If you think about when you did that, when you did those closeout jobs,
yeah,
it was always 6 months after it was done, so nobody remembers what went on.
exactly.
But now you're just assuming and trying to close this stuff
Right.
out, just assuming trying to close stuff. With this system, when they're signing it, they actually just got through. That's when they signed that document saying the job was completed. They have the package in their hand within 5 minutes, which means our QA team on site can be going through those in real time as they're coming in, not
Hmm.
waiting months on end for the stuff to come in and try to remember and go back through notes. And you can get something fixed immediately and not have to assume or make allowances for substandard quality when you
Right.
fix it in real time.
So we're halfway through, and then I want to just remind the audience that's still hanging on here. You can definitely ask questions, so take advantage of our remaining time here with our speakers. And then I also want to kind of turn to Rob here with a question about the industry in general, which I think, Richard, you kind of painted a pretty good picture for us. But from the technology viewpoint, so you mentioned in the beginning of this discussion, Rob, that construction is the largest vertical
Yeah.
that you guys work with, right? So why do you think that is? And we've heard bits and pieces throughout the discussion, but yeah, curious to hear your perspective on that.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we didn't plan it that way. We literally serve every industry, every size company, every geography, every department, and that is not an exaggeration. I've got Turner Construction. I've got a two-person garage door repair shop. I've got Chick-fil-A, and I've got Ohio Department of Transportation. It really runs the gamut. So that's kind of interesting. But like I said earlier, people find us. So the majority of our business is generated through inbound lead flow. People will Google search problems that they have, and fortunately, our marketing department, lets them know that GoForms is the solution for you. They find us, they see how easy it is, and they are off and running. Now, the reason I think that resonates with construction more than others is really back to our differentiators and our value proposition, right? It's that ease of use, it's that change management, it's that ability to get started and add value. And then I think the fact that we integrate with systems like a Procore and Acumatica, I think
Yeah.
people find us through our partnerships as well, because they are using those solutions, but those solutions don't necessarily solve the problem that GoForm solves. So I think we kind of lucked into construction, but I also think we were just kind of purpose built for it, in the sense of they've been an underserved technology market for a long time.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
our system gives them that quick ROI, that ease of use,
Quick on.
that problem is solved. I think it just kind of happened that way.
Solves the problem. Yeah, I would also probably pull in some of Richard's stories here, right? So like there's just so much number one, complexity in the industry that we deal with on any given day. We're trying to coordinate a bunch of different stakeholders to all follow this plan, and yeah, there's just a lot going on. And then number two, like we've kind of been stuck a little bit for a really long time with the way that we've always done things. So yeah, those two things together in my mind, um, it opens up a huge opportunity to change that. And I think addressing those pain points has probably speaking to why construction's that number one. Richard, looks like you had a thought there.
I do. I want to elaborate on what Rob was saying.
Yeah.
The, the key differentiator between GoForms and everything else out there, you got Procore, you got Salesforce, you got all these other software platforms, ACC Autodesk, BIM 360. You got all these projects and these big companies using all these great softwares, and they are great. BIM 360, ACC Desk, I love them. They're great. Can do a lot of the same things that GoForms does to some degree. The difference is we don't own them. We don't have access once we walk away. Like, let's say if I'm on a job with Jim Bob Construction and they're using ACC Autodesk or whatever, well,
Mm-hmm.
I get access to their system while I'm working there. But when I walk away, they have all the data. I don't. GoForms is that liaison, if you will, that bridge between the contractor or even the GC, even, but the contractor and the client or the vendor that you're working for. That's that liaison because GoForms can talk seamlessly with all those software systems. So you as a contractor have your own forms in there. You're doing your name on whatever you're, because from a quality perspective, you build a quality program, you have forms, you have a standardized system, if it's ISO 9001 or not. Ours is, but it should be. Well, you have all that in place, and you went through all this time and effort of training these guys to do things a certain way, the way you wanted them done, the way your QMS says in your
Mm-hmm.
safety program. And then you go to work for Turner Construction, they got Procore. Well, now you got to use Procore. Well, they just took all
Yeah.
yours out and threw it away. Whatever you're doing, whatever system you're using. Well, with GoForms, that's not the case. With GoForms, okay, give me access to the Procore API. Now I can still do my stuff and load everything you want through my own system. It gives you the contractor, the company control of their own data and will be more true to their QMS. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
100%. So you're getting that consistency no matter which platform. So yeah, makes that data reporting much, I guess, yeah, simpler across any platform is what you're saying there.
Our
So
guys don't have to learn Procore. They learn their system and that's it.
yeah, yeah,
The
yeah.
system already talks to Procore, so let it talk to it. Let it do its thing.
One of the biggest complaints that I've heard just over the course of my experience working with different tech implementations is like, man, I have too many dang platforms to open up and get into. I don't have the time to learn it all. I just want one. So anything that helps mitigate, having to open up a million apps really helps. 100%. And then we have a comment here from Nicholas. Again, great software. Really appreciate that you allow existing paper forms to be created digitally. It's the small details that really help adoption. 100%. The devil's in the details, right? So, yeah, the small things, being able to carry over your existing stuff is really good. So let's see. I want to maybe talk about like future state a little bit, but before we kind of jump there, and tying into what you were just mentioning, Richard, like what's your advice for other construction professionals out there looking to improve their processes, their workflows, and how they're using digital tools? Just in general, so.
My advice: if you're already using digital tools, simplify them.
Simplify. Oh, yeah. Say
Simplify.
more. Say more. What do you mean by that?
Simplify it. Like you're saying, everybody has 365. We have Apple
Mhm.
stuff. We have Android stuff. We have all these different devices and ways to get this information. You need to simplify and streamline.
Okay.
If you make it simple and you streamline your digital process, whatever that may be,
Yeah.
because all your workflows and all these different SOPs you have built within your company, that can all be automated with a simplified digital
Hmm.
platform that you're using, like GoForms, which is what I do. I don't have workflows and SOPs. The system's doing them for me, which gives me the same manpower that I was doing that now. Now they're repurposed to do something more beneficial
Right.
or cost effective for the company. That they don't need these mundane tasks anymore. Simple is better. Keep it simple. Don't fight your employees. Figure out what resonates with them to get them to use it, like the QR codes and the public forms. If all they know how to do is run a cell phone, that's great.
Yeah.
This system works with it. Use a cell phone. It makes it simple. Keep it simple. If you keep it simple, as you know, this little philosophy or psychology coming in. Human
Hmm.
beings are lazy. We are lazy creatures by nature. We will always find the least path of resistance to get something done. That's just the way we are. So
Hmm.
use that to your benefit. Use it in your best interest. And that's the best advice I can give. Simplify where you can.
Fantastic. I need that on a bumper sticker. Make it simple. Amazing. Great insight, and I would say great advice. Same question to Rob too. Like for construction leaders who may be hesitant to make a switch over, like let's say, maybe they're worried about the investment in the tool or what it takes to actually do a digital transformation. What's your advice to construction leaders who are maybe considering or on the fence of kind of going fully into digital transformation?
Yeah, I agree with everything that Richard was saying. I love the idea of being able to repurpose people for other things, but I view it as a competitive differentiator. I
Hmm.
can't imagine that if there's a bid for a project and one GC, as an example, has this digital tool set that allows you to do the daily reporting and the updates and the professionalism and everything about it, and the efficiency associated with it, versus someone that doesn't. I can't imagine that sales process and the non-digital transformation company winning. I think it truly is a competitive differentiator and an essential piece of your business strategy going forward. So I really believe that. I think that companies will lose business and or go out of business if they don't adopt this type of technology.
Yeah. I want to build on that as well. So the competitive differentiation is really, really important. I had brought up AI a little bit earlier in the conversation. We know it's kind of really level setting, or people are like, "Hey, like I saw so and so get this done super fast with this AI thing. Like I think I need to do that to stay competitive." Um, where do you see like technology going in the next 3 to 5 years with AI being introduced, more contractors starting to get savvy about implementing technology in their organizations? Where do you see that headed, Rob?
Well, I think it takes time. I love you guys have mentioned AI and people in both in this conversation, and I am in violent agreement with you. I don't think that AI
Violent
is
agreement.
yeah, that AI is not going to
Yeah.
replace. I think especially in construction. I don't. I'm not going to give credit to it, but there was an ad I saw, like it was a billboard, and
Hmm.
maybe a year ago, I think it was in San Diego, and it was a skyscraper that was being built, and it was about 5 floors in, and it said, "Hey AI, finish this
Yes.
building."
Yes, I
And
remember seeing that. Yeah.
and I like that because it's AI is helpful, to everything that we've discussed. It makes you more productive. You can spend your time doing the other tasks that the humans better at. It's the combination of the two that is the power, and I agree with that. So I don't think when people hear the stories of AI is going to replace humans and this isn't going to work. I don't believe that in most industries, and I certainly don't believe that in construction. So let's start
Mhm.
there. But when you think about the path of a digital transformation. I don't think construction is going to go from a clipboard and a piece of paper, and to Richard's point, like where we're using flip phones. I don't think overnight that's going to become AI. That's just not going to happen. It's going to be a journey. It's going to be a transformation. It's going to take time. So I
Mhm.
think these things need to be adopted. You need to create these efficiencies. I think AI is wonderful for giving you insights into what's happening with your data and helping you make decisions. But ultimately, I do believe that the human still matters. I think especially in construction, and AI
Absolutely.
should be adopted, but it's to augment the human, not to replace.
Amazing. And we have a comment here from, I think, Anisha. So, intuitive software on construction sites is key to adoption, which
Yep.
to pull your phrase, Rob, I violently agree with as well. Yeah, that intuitive piece makes things so much easier. And kind of goes back to what you were saying, Richard. Like, don't fight the employees. Give the people what they want, right? Kind of the same question that I was asking Rob previously for you, Richard. Like, where do you see us heading in the next 3 to 5 years? What does technology look like? Yeah, let us know your thoughts on future state of the industry.
I am currently heading this direction myself. I've been talking to GoForms behind the scenes a lot about stuff, so I don't want to tip the hat too much. But I do see, because GoForms allows you to take multiple pictures. Now, once they get standardized from a certain degree, I can see object detection software or capabilities of AI coming in. I
Mhm.
can see code references within your forms. Of course, I work in codes like IBC and stuff like that.
Oh
I
yeah.
can see where there's a possibility or the option for like a chat feature or something that will allow you to check the code to verify with what you're thinking as a human. Is this acceptable or not? And be able to reference codes in real time on the form. You can even also, I can see AI being implemented at some point where a person fills out a form and the AI verifies it with the code that it's associated with and gives a printout to the manager or the approver above him to verify the information. And just getting you all that information, but only the information that you need specifically to what's being done on that form. Does that make sense? I can see AI going being used to that capacity. Still having the human make the decision, but the system and the AI system giving you the bits and pieces of information to make it an accurate decision and giving you more information to be more effective at making those decisions. And then, of course, your object identifier will help verify your flaws and discontinuities as they arise throughout your pictures. So
Yeah, I'd
that
love to elaborate on that if I may.
Yeah.
Richard,
Yeah.
I mean, you mentioned you've been talking to our team, so I know you know a lot of these things that are happening, but we are investing in AI from the perspective of making GoForms better. So, as an example, we've released a template builder. So, the ability to take your form and turn it into a digital form like GoForms, we're AI enabling that process. We're doing the same with Calculation Builder, where you should be able to speak naturally to say, I want the calculation to do this, and it will do that. And then ultimately, to Richard's point, it's great that you have these BI tools and you can take the data from SQL and put them in those tools and see the pretty dashboards and they tell you all these things. But wouldn't it be wonderful if you could just speak naturally to the application and say, what are the insights I should gain from the 1,000 inspections that we did today? And it should tell you that. And that's something we're working on as well.
yes,
Yeah.
I didn't want to give that up.
That's okay.
No, that insight piece is huge. And one of the things that I come back to as well, especially with AI, it can read, understand, observe, like ingest so much data, far more than any one human brain is capable of. And when we find like creative, impactful ways of leveraging that, it can really um, make things better, like make life better. So I'm really optimistic about what's to come, and yeah, excited to hear that that investment's happening, and all sorts of exciting things on the horizon. So we also just had a question come in again from Anisha. So what AI tools exist in the solution today? Which maybe you guys are in the process of developing something, but maybe Rob, do you want to touch on
Yeah.
that?
Well, I mean, Richard had mentioned the object detection. We're
Okay.
doing that with pictures today, so we can take a picture and we can decipher what you're seeing. And actually, if we're seeing some data inside of that picture, we can interpret that into the form. So that's one that's happening. That's out there today. I mentioned the template builder in the past. When you took your form, you would do a drag and drop exercise to make that form come alive, which would take a period of time. Now we have an AI enable button where you click that, and it literally just AI enables the form. I talked about Calculation Builder. That's coming. But yeah, we've really invested this year in more engineers that are more AI focused and training up our team of engineers that are becoming more AI focused. So this is a big initiative for us going forward. But we do have some AI tools that are out today, and we'll see a lot more coming out in the very near future.
Yeah, early adopter. Good to see it. All right, so we're in the last 10 minutes or so of our discussion. So for our audience, thank you so much for being engaged. We really appreciate all of the questions, comments. I see the reactions as well in the chat. Really love to see those. So now is the best time to ask any last questions. We just got one in from Nicholas Miller. So what do you think about the future concerning data standardization in AEC and pay-per-use serverless computing for AI applications? Interesting question there.
Yeah, I'll start with that one. So, good question. I think it's going to be determined over time. I think the value that we gain from being in business for the last, 12 years and really understanding industries like construction and energy, we do have an idea around what data standardization should look like. Now, that doesn't mean that we're going to be the authority on what that is, but we certainly have thoughts. On the pay-per-use serverless computing for AI applications, that is something we're actually talking about now because we're still licensing our software in kind of a pay per user per month basis. We do have some clients that use a kind of a use case scenario pricing model because that prior model just doesn't work for them. And we are thinking about what does this look like from a consumption based model going forward. So these are discussions we're having. I don't know that we have the exact answers because, as an example, the AI tools that we're building are typically from third parties that may be charging us from that computing purpose, and we have to find a way to then charge our clients to where we're not upside down on that equation. So it is an interesting discussion, and it is something that we're discussing at this point in time. But some of the things I've seen from the AI vendors is they've come out with like the price per transaction, which can seem overwhelming. So I think it's something that's gonna iterate. You're going to see some people come out with something that the market's just going to say no, thank you, and they're going to have to change it. So we're going to see.
All right. Let's see, Richard. Any thoughts on that data standardization?
That's a way above my pay grade.
No worries.
I understand data, but I don't know it to that degree to be able to answer that.
Yeah, I think you actually touched on elements of that when talking about the consistency across platforms. So, no matter where you go or who you're working with, you're able to get the same data back, at least, for your stuff that you're looking at. So,
Right.
yeah, we're starting to trend that way.
Now, the reason that data is so important, guys, in the world that I live in and the refineries and stuff like that, is there's something that's federally mandated. It's called mechanical integrity systems out there and programs out there, and all these plants and all these things they're monitored and maintained and checked and inspected at periodics all the time. And there's certain thresholds they have to go in and do repair. That mechanical integrity program. What I've done with the systems, I've built the front end mechanical integrity, all your baselines, because we're building it. We know all the stuff in the beginning. We feed that to the client through our GoForm system. They have that data. They have the MI already started. So when they have a mechanical integrity company come in to monitor those plants and all those different devices, they have all their baseline data because I've converted it to a database and they have it. I turn it over so they have it. Saving them tons of time and money of getting it up and running. And now they sit there and they just keep monitoring it. If we come out and monitor ourselves, then we feed them the data, they make their decisions. And all those calculations, hey guys, all this stuff from all these different codes are just simple calculations that can be done on the back end.
Yeah.
through a SQL or whatever. It's just simple math. Well, it's not simple. It's got a bunch of letters and stuff and all kinds of symbols, but you get the idea.
Yeah. Fancy math is what I call it, but
Fancy math.
all good.
Done by computer, very simple.
Let's see. So also for the audience, if there are any more questions that you have, please do feel free to leave them in the comment or the chat box. We will be able to see them after the event as well and respond to you. So if we run out of time, don't worry. So please do feel free to fill up that comment or chat box. So this will be our last question for today. So what blind spots do you think construction leaders have when it comes to construction AI? And this is such a good topic. Maybe let's start with Rob and then Richard.
Yeah, that's a really good question. Right when I saw it, I thought, man, that's a good one. I don't know that I have. I think Richard may be better at this than I, but I think the only thing that I would say is just the adoption of it. Right, like don't be scared of it. Like construction AI is real. I'm not saying it's replacing the human by any means, but you certainly shouldn't shy away from it because it kind of it's the next level of digital transformation, right? If you've gone from paper to digital, good for you, but you now need to go from digital to AI. It's the next evolution. So I think my only comment or as a blind spot would be don't be scared of it, adopt it and move forward. Richard, anything you'd add to that?
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. The only true blind spot we have in the industry is in our industry we have kept the guy below us. We kept our job by keeping him without knowledge. Knowledge sharing in this industry is so important, and it's not done. You touched on it earlier when you were sitting there messing with all those papers. No one come and explain to you what you're doing with this paper. They say, "Hey, here's these papers. Have fun." And like I didn't get running because the industry is moving so fast.
Mhm.
We have such a shortage of manpower, so we're not able to train and coach the people below us to the adequate level before we move them up to the next level. We're just moving so fast, and the workplace shortage of manpower is what's caused that. So the best thing I can tell you about the blind spots that are in the industry are the same ones that are there now. Don't be intimidated. Don't be afraid to share that knowledge. Don't be afraid to help the person next to you gain that knowledge they need to be a good employee working right beside you. The same blind spots we deal with human to human interaction is the
Mhm.
same one that's becoming with AI. It's a valid tool that needs to be utilized. It's a valid tool. I was always a big believer in use the proper tool for the job. Use the proper tool for the job, but you have to make it effective by being acceptance of it, like you were saying, Rob.
Yeah, I would throw out there too. Just be curious, and learn. Find out the right way to use the tool, the right how to responsibly use AI, and start small. So it doesn't have to be so scary.
Yeah.
So we're in the last few minutes. I want to ask both of you. So where can our audience find you to follow up if they have any additional questions or things like that? Starting first with Richard.
My LinkedIn. Did you share
LinkedIn.
the LinkedIn, Miss Erin? Yeah, the LinkedIn. I normally monitor that pretty close.
Cool.
When if the conversation gets really deep, then I'll give out my phone number and hey, let's call and talk about it, or email or whatnot. LinkedIn. I'm on there.
Perfect.
On Facebook. I mean, you can find me all over the place. I don't really have an Instagram or anything like that, but
LinkedIn's great. We'll go with LinkedIn. Yeah. And then Rob, close us out. Where can our audience find you, or anyone else who's tuning in later
Yeah,
find you, or the team
I'm
to
I'm
connect
in
with?
LinkedIn all the time, so LinkedIn's going to be the best place for me. I would say that if you want to engage GoForms, go to our website. That's an easy ask. We've got folks monitoring that to engage you. I think the easiest way to get started with people is literally send us a form that you're dealing with today, right? Just send
Yeah.
it over. We'll turn it into a GoForm, and then we'll get on a call and show you what your world would look like in our world, and that usually gets people pretty excited. I do want to say one other thing because we've talked so much about the
Yeah.
form. We do have the ability of building something where the form doesn't exist. We can build that for you. So I do want to make that clear. I don't want people to go, well, I don't have a form, so I can't use you. Yes, you can. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'd love to engage. So please connect with me on LinkedIn and happy to continue the dialogue.
Amazing. Amazing. Gosh, I wish I had these types of tools when I was an intern, being buried in stacks of paper. But yeah, great to see it. At this point in the conversation, I'd like to give just a really big thank you to both of you, Rob and Richard, for spending your time here with us today, with our audience, sharing a bit about the digitization experience, what some of those benefits are, and some of the exciting stuff that's to come with all sorts of fun technology things emerging on the horizon. With that, thank you so much. And thank you to our audience as well. This was a really engaging discussion. I loved seeing your comments. And please do tune in to our next session, which should be in a couple weeks or so. So thank you, everybody, and take care.
Thank you, Aaron. Thank you, Richard. Bye, everyone.
yes, sir. Thank y'all.